Hello twin flames, welcome to my channel. Whether you're new or you're coming back, my name is Victoria and I've got a twin flame reading for you. Now, those of you who have been following me for a while, you know, or at least the last few readings, you know that I'm actually embarking on a trip to the Dominican Republic this week. So this reading, while you're watching this reading, I'm already either somewhere in the air or in DR. So yeah, so just recorded this the night before, and I will be doing some readings from over there. I don't know if I'm going to be missing any days. I'll try not to, but we'll see how it works out. I mean, it is vacation and it might be actually quite nice just to take more time off from any kind of hustle, responsibilities, errands, you know, and just dissolve in the Dominican environment with a lot of food, exploration, and chilling, really. Okay, so this is gonna be a classic read, and I did bring the Hermit Tarot today because I'm not taking it with me. So yeah, I thought, why not? Let's do it. And I'm using the Cosmic Journey Oracle to begin with. So let's get a card for each of the twins, starting with the DF, and then we'll see what's going on right now in the dynamic, and as well as the connection itself. We just had the 12 portal, so the energies is still pretty strong. Transformation is at place, and if you want to know more of what this is about, I did a reading on it yesterday, so check the last one, or at least the previous one on my channel, and you'll get some more insights. But yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that we're obviously still in that vibe, and that the shadow period is gonna stay around for a few days, really. Okay, so for Divine Feminines, we have befriend your fear monster. Yes, and it's actually part of the reading yesterday for the feminines about coming back to wholeness and leaving behind some big patterns, and not like leaving behind like I don't want to think about it anymore, but for real, healing it, right? That's part of it. Befriending your fear monster, understanding. And also, if you remember, the card from Beyond Lemuria yesterday had some reference to the parts, and I also mentioned this, to me that speaks about the IFS, which is a one of the newer streams in psychology about that talks about like I don't remember the exact, like exiled parts, I think it's called, that are part of you still, but they are kind of hurt parts that you need to kind of make a connection with, right? To understand why they're there, how they're helping you, and sort of like nurture those parts, right? Build that relationship. And to me, this speaks to it so much. Befriend your fear monster. I mean, this is different lingo altogether. But you know, whatever floats your boat, really. What do we have for the masculines? Ooh, synchronicity is a love letter from the universe across time and space. Divine masculines continue seeing some synchronicities between what's happening in DF life and their life. And guess what? They don't even need to be talking to you for that. For some reason, I keep wanting to say that because I guess, you know, some of you watching are not exactly in communication. So some of the things I might be talking about to be like, well, they don't even know what I'm up to, what's going on in my life. But, you know, if you have friends in common, if, you know, they have a chance to follow you on social media, there's a good chance that they have information, right? If you like can be found in the similar places, or you live in the same area, then they may see you and you won't even know it, right? And of course, there is telepathic communication always. So sometimes they will, maybe they won't necessarily like bring it full circle in their conscious mind, but when they get that synchronicity, something will like click in their head, like in their heart, you know, inside of them, that this is important. Wow, this is something magical. And that would be because on the energetic level, they know that this is a big synchronicity with what is happening with their divine feminine on their journey. Okay, let's see what we have for divine feminine energy right now. What's happening for divine feminines? By the way, I'm still taking personal reading and coaching requests, so if you're interested in it, let me know. You can also take a look at my website for some details, or just send me an email and we'll talk. And I am doing my webinar on personal astrology tomorrow on Wednesday, December 14th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, check it out, register, and even if you can't make it live, you will be getting a recording, provided that you have registered. So that's the important part. Okay, so for the feminines, we have Five of Pentacles. Look at that. Yeah, this is about fear. And look, like in this card specifically, usually Five of Pentacles, it's more about loneliness and having lack mentality, but a lot of times about money, right? Look at this card. Look at the dog barking and these guys kind of like almost like trying to, well, at least to protect themselves, but also to sort of escape the scene, right? Again, it's bringing us towards that fear energy. We'll get a clarifier. What about divine masculines? Okay, we have Page of Cups. Yeah, this is also a kind of unconventional card for the Page of Cups, but we'll get to it. I also like that it has full moon here, which we just had a few days ago. And yeah, that energy is actually pretty strong still. We had full moon in Gemini. What's the energy of the connection at this time? Ace of Pentacles. Kind of fell in reverse, so that's how I'm going to take it. The World at the bottom of the deck. Yes, still some closures happening. Again, especially with the full moon, we've been talking about, I think it was last Wednesday, so less than a week ago, we've been talking about closures and closing cycles. And yeah, like for different twins, depending on where you are on the journey, I mean, there are several factors, but like how the loop for some people is like a shorter loop or faster loop of getting feedback or getting the results in 3D of your inner work. Right, for some people it will be a shorter time period, for some people longer. But yeah, it looks like these few days it's still happening, like it's unfolding. The story, really the consequences in 3D of the energetic work that has been done in the recent cycle. Please clarify Five of Pentacles, the Tower. Please clarify Page of Cups. That actually speaks to me so much, the Five of Pentacles and the Tower right now. Let's clarify Page of Cups for divine masculine energy. Okay. Five of Wands, another five. Let's clarify Ace of Pentacles in reverse for the twins. Okay, King of Swords. All right, and then Ten of Wands in the bottom of the deck, which is also end of the cycle, just like the World card. So, yeah, for the feminines, something has happened recently, or is happening now, like it's still unfolding, that is bringing divine feminine into this, is bringing a lot of fear to the surface, let's put it that way. And I can definitely relate, so I'll just give it as an example. I got scammed for a large amount of money last week. And it's not like, I mean, at this point in my journey, thank goodness for my spiritual past, for the twin flame past, that, I can take it much better, right? Like I get into the Five Pentacles energy, but I don't linger there for too long, right? But I understand that this is like a lot of things that are happening around it actually can tell me pretty quickly that it was divinely guided, that it was the Tower moment that was needed. And I don't necessarily see full picture yet, because again, it's also still unfolding for me, right? Why it was needed, what's the full landscape of it. But a lot of it brought fears to me, right? Just general trust in people, right? Because for me, and I mean, it is for a lot of people, of course, but just telling my story, that for me, trust was a big issue growing up. Being raised by a narcissist, that if you're familiar with the pattern, they're very, well, I mean, they are kind of predictable when you understand the patterns, but obviously as a kid, I didn't know the patterns. I expected my mom to be a mom, you know, a loving, caring parent, patient. Probably I was expecting that a little bit. I wasn't that big of a problem really, but it was very, to me at least from my perspective, it was very unpredictable the way she was behaving. It was really hard for me to trust people, and that is such a deep fear that I have, right? Like right now, I mean, obviously I've done tons of work since then, but it's still like things like, you know, that case that happened to me last week, it really, and like I was following it through because I felt strongly that that's what I was supposed to do, like that I was on the right track, I was in alignment, and I was, right? And that's even more confusing. Like I was in alignment with the divine plan, I was going with it, and then suddenly I got into a ton of trouble because of that, of how it ended. Like, not to mention, of course, that, you know, it was a heartbreak to a certain extent, right? Because my trust was broken, right? That I realized again, and now I'm realizing that I'm again at a place where I don't really trust people that much, right? Like I'm more closed off, right? And it's gonna take some time before I can be more trusting again, right? It's the part where you think that people have agenda, they're trying to help you, or they're giving you compliments or whatever, doing something nice for you, right? It's like, and that's just one part of it. Another part of it could be the desperation. It's also the Five of Pentacles energy. The desperation that that you won't find somebody who will be around and will want to do something good for you just because, without having their own agenda in mind, without benefiting from it themselves, right? Like this is such a deep pattern, right? And I'm getting, especially with this Tower card, that it's something, I mean, of course it could be different for you, it could look different for some of you. It will, I mean, it is actually financial for me, so why not, right? But like even in my example, it was connected with the finances, but it was also connected with general patterns of love, of trust, you know. And that's how you can build a chain and logic in everything and anything that is happening to us, right? No matter how 3D it looks like, it's it all comes down to love and trust and kindness and compassion, or the lack of it, right? And how those scenarios play out in our life, how they impact us, and the choices we make in those situations. So yeah, something big is happening for Divine Feminine, but the Tower being a major arcana, we can see that that's divinely orchestrated to illustrate some lessons, and also to guide the feminine to a certain path, right? Because again, we're going to make certain conclusions, we're going to get certain insights when we are pushed so strong. It's like an explosion. The Tower moment energy is like an explosion, really. For the masculines, we have Page of Cups clarified by Five of Wands. Yeah, so in both cards we have a lot of people, right? And Five of Wands is a quintessential, you have like too many cooks, or people are trying to tell you what to do, right? There's like this karmic disturbance of people around. And in this Page of Cups, it's the same. So what I'm getting from this is that Divine Masculine is really on the path of figuring out the love concepts for themselves, right? They're still at the page energy. It means there's a long way to go still, but they are making progress, and they are noticing that so far a lot of the decisions that they've made, or their own impressions, opinions, values, have been so much dependent on other people's opinions and validation, right? Like if another person said, that's a wonderful, you know, girl to be with, or this is a good friend, right? And the Divine Masculine would immediately be like, oh yeah, of course they are, right? Like immediately would agree and take it, accept it for themselves as their own opinion, just because somebody else said it. I mean, maybe not like anybody, right? But at least somebody, friends, family, a boss, whoever, right? So they're starting to see that pattern that, okay, maybe I need to make it out for myself, right? What I consider light and shadow, what I consider sincere, or, you know, the opposite of it, right? They're looking at those patterns of relationships. This is specifically about relationship with another person. It could be like in a karmic situation, right? And we can see here it's referencing us to how we spend our time with people around us. Like this is the bubble, right? The close people, right? How do we celebrate things, right? What does it mean for us to have a good time? And even then they're figuring out like whether the way they spend their like leisure time, their spare time, is it something that they want to do, or is it something that people around them want them to do, and they just go with it, the usual people pleasing patterns, and not really wanting to like stand your ground to cause any kind of like ruffling of the feathers or whatsoever, right? It's very interesting. Notice that on both sides it's like unraveling deep karmic patterns, which is one of the main, I'm getting reminded, thank you, that it's not even the importance of it and the extent of it doesn't end with your own story. Wow, that's like remember that whenever you get into that, and none of those situations look very pleasant, right? It's a learning process that a lot of times comes to us through something negative we experience. But what I'm being reminded of, and what I'm supposed to tell you, is that this is so much more than the personal story, personal learning path. It's because we're twins, we're light workers, right? By healing these patterns for ourselves, and I mean, usually that includes other people too, right? Like we are definitely impacting communities around, we're impacting the collective at large, right? Because we're tipping the scale in a different direction, and even more so if we are sharing what is going on and how we get to those conclusions and how we decide to change our life, right? Even more impact comes in, right? So there's definitely happening energetically right away, automatically for all of us. But also the more you then can share about it, you can use it as a master teacher in your mission and whatever it is that you will be doing. That's gonna be huge, right? Like that's why we're here, really. That's a big part of the work that we're here to do. And yes, it's not easy, but that's part of the agreement. And it's supposed to give you that feeling of satisfaction that at the very least, right, that you're basically helping the collective figure out these patterns so that there can be less and less of this kind of unfortunate chain of events, right, where people can deceive each other in this way, or where a person basically follows opinions of other people, even in building relationships, even in deciding how they feel about someone. Imagine that for a moment, like sit with that, think about it, that somebody could be building, and that's like a lot of people who do that, will be making up their opinions of someone and how they feel about them and how they want to be in relationship based on what other people are saying about them. The energy of the connection. Ace of Pentacles in reverse, clarified by King of Swords. So yeah, this is the moment where the twins realize that there's a lot of potential in doing stuff together. Look at that pentacle, it's huge in this deck. It's like enormous. There's so much that twins can accomplish together. And the truth and the value and the wisdom is in realizing that. So it doesn't mean that we have to run off and immediately start a business together, right? Or become best friends and spend all our time together. No. And the twins understand that in those karmic situations, they have a lot to deal with, to unpack, and to learn. It's almost like it's not like a prisoner feeling. I get this feeling of a scientist, right? It's like, that's an interesting find. Okay, I'm gonna explore it more. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna see, how it all works out from the inside out. How it all works from the inside out. So yeah, it's like the twins are preoccupied in their own space, right? And there isn't much necessarily happening as a collaboration, but both twins realize that the potential is huge. Okay, messages from divine masculines to divine feminines. And I'm gonna do this quickly because it's too many cards, because I've already gone over time from what I was going to do. Okay, we have Ace of Swords. Anything else? And Ace of Wands. Yeah, so oh my god, yeah, so divine masculines are saying to divine feminines that they almost like they're living through several lives with this journey, and every time they feel like they figured out what's going on or how they feel about it or what they want to do with their life, then something changes like that and they're in square one again. But it's not the same square one, it's a different square one, but they're at the place where they start figuring things out again, right? And they're still trying to get their head around of how it happens or what can they do to make the most of it. But they're grateful that that life is, what I'm hearing, is never boring, right? It's always about learning something else, and it's always about discovering your passion and your enthusiasm for going forward. And every time they get closer to the truth of like what is that core driver, that core enthusiasm that can get you overcome any kind of challenges on the way. And they're grateful for that, to this journey and to divine feminine specifically. Messages from divine feminine. We have, I miss you, do you? And I have so much desire for you. Aww. So both twins actually energetically exchanging this pull, this appreciation, this like warm hug feeling towards each other, right? So basically there is still a lot of communication happening on the energetic level. So do not limit yourself just to 3D, and by all means, if you know how, you can deliver special messages, you can do lucid dreaming to kind of explore something together, right? You can do all kinds of things without necessarily being in communication in 3D. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here. Thanks very much for joining me today, guys. I love you all. And the next time you see me, hopefully that will be from the DR. Fingers crossed. And yeah, we'll talk then. Bye, everyone.